Everyone, my name is Teresa Chen, and you've met me before, but I have a new friend to introduce to you. This is Dr. Susan Jack, and she's here to tell us about a really cool initiative that she started in the School of Nursing. So Susan, thank you for being here with me. Can you tell us a little bit about what brought about the initiative that you're about to tell us about?
Great, super. Well, Dr. Chen, thank you so much for the invitation. And first to start, the initiative is called Reading for Reason. And in its basic form, it is a book club within the School of Nursing at McMaster for faculty and staff for us to read and learn and reflect about issues, about social justice issues, health equity issues, and really to invest time in learning about individuals' experiences of racism and discrimination, and beginning to think about what changes can we make, or do we have the power to enact within our academic institutions. And really what brought this, I guess what brought this idea along is shortly following the murders of Breonna Taylor and George Floyd, of course, I think globally there was so much attention and awareness and perhaps even awakening. And myself as a white, educated, privileged female, personally I went, I have so much to learn. And I also serve as the president for the Nursing Network for Violence Against Women International, which is an international organization of nurses and midwives who do research and develop policy initiatives in the area to prevent violence against women and children. And so as part of that organization, we said immediately, we need to publish a statement from our organization in support of Black Lives Matter. Many of our members around the globe do research looking at women's experiences of violence and recognizing that Black women, indigenous women, people of color experience violence disproportionately compared to other populations. So we knew that this was an important action for our organization to take. But as our board met, we said, you know, issuing a statement is important in recognizing that this is connected to work that we do, but making a statement is not enough. That then just becomes performative allyship, and that's not enough. So one of the second steps that we took as a board in the short term, and still not enough, we do recognize, but we said, well, how do we provide guidance to all of our members, nurses and midwives, most of which are researchers, again, across the globe, about actions? What are actions that people can immediately begin to take in their lives to learn about discrimination, racism, to take action? And our first few actions in the list that we developed was about reflecting on your own position, your own privilege, to learn. And I've started to learn a lot through social media and the influencers that I follow on Twitter. And one of the messages that I was learning through Twitter is that I cannot burden individuals who are Black or indigenous to teach me about racism or discrimination. It is my responsibility to take on that labor and to do my own learning. So I thought, okay, one thing I do well is read. And so I'm going to start reading. But I only learn when people challenge me and question me and force me to reflect, and when there's discussion and debate. So I thought, well, who can I discuss and debate with? And I have two 18-year-old twin boys. And, you know, I tried at the dinner table to raise these issues. And so there's some discussion, but I thought, no, I need to go with some colleagues. So I asked Dr. Sandra Carroll, who is a Vice Dean in the Faculty of Health Sciences and a Director of the School of Nursing, and to have some time in a faculty meeting to explore if my colleagues, both staff and faculty, would be interested in a book club where we could choose books that, you know, and we're focusing on Canadian content, books where we could read first-person accounts of individuals' lived experiences as individuals of color who are Black Canadians or Indigenous Canadians. So that was sort of the start of the initiative.
Wow, that sounds so interesting, especially with your background as a qualitative researcher. You're leveraging your strengths to develop something that would be impactful to others. And I'm sure lots of people are really learning from the experience, partly because of your influence, but also partly just from reading alone, right? I think that you sometimes need that peer pressure to learn something new, to feel comfortable with the discomfort of some of these issues, to not have that negative reaction. That's not happening in our healthcare system in our country, and yet let's be completely honest, for those who are writing about it, sharing those stories, we certainly know that that's actually the truth.
Mm-hmm.
And I've recently met with someone in the community who's one of our patient advocates for one of our hospitals. And he's a Black gentleman who works in politics, actually. And I was like, well, I will advocate for you where I can in the healthcare system, so long as you do me the favor at the tables at Queen's Park, do the same for us. and I think that that's where we have to understand the experiences. We have to stop some of our snap judgments, because those are driven by previous experiences. Definitely, it's still important for us to understand the basis of where all of these systemic issues come from, and then how they manifest with our patients, with our colleagues, with the people in our lives. I think that's really important.
I absolutely agree with you. And I'm really struck by even what your comment about judgments. And I think this is really as we've created this space for staff and faculty to come together, it allows us to sort of look at what implicit biases do we hold, what judgments do we hold, and what impact do those judgments have on our behaviors towards students, and by extension for individuals who still maintain a clinical practice, towards patients. And so, in setting up the book club, the other thing that I was really committed to was to try to think about, how do we create this as a safe space? Because inherently in inviting staff and faculty, there's hierarchies within academia. We can't ignore that academia is set up in a hierarchical structure. And so we really work to say that this is a space where everyone is welcome. And at our first meeting, typically when you ask people to introduce themselves, the standard introduction is, hi, my name is whatever, Susan, and here's my title. And as soon as you state your title, you're stating your position. So I purposefully chose that we wouldn't have that type of introduction at our first meeting. Instead, everyone was asked to, say their name. We know everyone's affiliated with the School of Nursing. And then to share with the team, to the group, what's your favorite song that, makes you feel summer? And it's great. We actually created a summer playlist of songs. And it's interesting of how much you learn about someone when they tell you what's their favorite summer jam and why they picked that. And in that first hour, I think, boy, in this 1 hour, I've learned more about my colleagues than I ever have in my 20 plus years at the School of Nursing. And so we've sought really ways to minimize power within the book club, to create it as a safe space. People were worried, what happens if I don't read the book? Can I still come to the book club? Well, of course, everybody's busy. And during this time of COVID-19 and the multiple pressures on faculty and staff, and many of our staff and faculty are mothers and parents, you might not have time to read. But again, the point of coming together and building this community of practice essentially is for discussion and reflection. We've started a Microsoft Teams group, and it's been great, right? So we had 27 individuals sign up to the book club. And even using Microsoft Teams, I can see how that's been a nice extension of our monthly meetings, because people now are reading something in the book, then they're posting an article to learn more about it. And I'm going, oh, this is going to have some secondary benefits of building community, building cohesion, beyond us just learning, reflecting, and discussing. And then just our next book is called A Mind Spread Out on the Ground by Alicia Elliott.
Okay.
So I'm only a few pages in, but experiences of an Indigenous Canadian woman and her experiences of growing up in a family with mental health issues, and Again, I think there will be a lot for us to reflect on, what are the health impacts of trauma and violence and discrimination.
Of
So
course.
thank you very much. It's been great to chat with you.
All right. Thank you so much for being our guest. Okay. Bye.
Bye.